Well, howdy there, folks. So today we're going to be talking about just exactly how it is carnivore heals so many diseases. So basically, extreme healing with carnivore. Let's talk about it. Alrighty. So we'll talk a little bit about just exactly what it is about carnivore that works so well. How does it work? Um, how does it do what it does? And how is it that even though conventional medical wisdom and nutritional wisdom says that eating carnivore will give you heart disease and high cholesterol and will kill you and cause colon cancer and all these things that are actually just not true. They're unsubstantiated with real evidence. Now, they use a lot of epidemiological studies, which are basically just correlation studies. You know, they'll look at old data from other studies, or they'll send out a bunch of questionnaires and, asking people about their eating habits from the last year or the last couple of years or even the last 5 years. And who's going to remember the kind of detail and whether they cheated on that diet or, things like that. So the only thing an epidemiological study is good for is to maybe see a pattern that you can then design a proper testing procedure for. But nowadays, the last few years, they don't do that. They put together these epidemiological studies and then pass them off as proven fact. And that's just not the case. Now, there is lots of actual real studies out there that prove the benefits of carnivore. And there are literally hundreds of thousands of us that have been healing all kinds of diseases. Almost any disease you can think of can be affected by carnivore, either completely healed or put into remission. You know, a lot of the things that people lose sight of, if you're going to do the carnivore diet, if it's doing some major healing of your body, you're probably going to have to stay on it for the rest of your life. Uh, so let's talk a little bit about why this happens. How do we get so sick from the regular normal foods that we've been eating? Well, the problem is most of these foods that we buy in modern times from the grocery store are ultra processed foods. So they take all these ingredients and they just process the crap out of them and then put them together into food. They almost always add sugar because sugar is addictive. Literally, it actually affects the same addiction centers of the brain as heroin and cocaine and that type of thing. And fructose affects it even more so. And that's why you'll see fructose in so many of the foods on the grocery store shelves, or at least sugar. It's really difficult these days to find food from the grocery store without sugar. You have to really be diligent about reading the labels. Now, sugar is just part of the story. Now, sugar will, over time, uh, it'll bump up your insulin every time you have some sugar, and eventually it will create insulin resistance, and then that goes on to metabolic disease, and then that's the driver for many, many other diseases. Most autoimmune diseases, heart disease, and cancer, and all these types of things, all these other types of illnesses, obesity, that type of thing. The sugar and the processed foods and seed oils and even vegetables. Now, we should probably talk a little bit about vegetables because, the conventional wisdom out there says that vegetables are healthy for us and that they're chock full of all these vitamins. Well, there's a few problems with this. Number one is the vitamins that you find in vegetables, only a very small percentage of those get actually converted and used by the body, which is why you need so much to actually have an effect. The other issue with plants is that plants don't have any self-defenses that are physical. Um, they can't run away and hide. They can't, they don't have teeth and claws that they can fight back with. So the only defense they have is chemical. Now they can protect, some plants protect themselves with, thick bark and big spines, but, most of the plants out there are highly poisonous except to very specific animals or species. Now, a lot of vegetables have some of these chemicals in different forms or another. And part of the problem nowadays is shipping these fruits and vegetables in from all over the world. So to do that, they pick them before they're ripe, and then they let them ripen in the boxes. Well, the problem is that when you pick a plant early, it's putting out maximum protection against being eaten until the seeds are ready to be sown out into the wild. So it's not until the plant is, or the fruit or vegetable is fully ripe, that it lets go a lot of those toxins and takes them back out of the fruit or the vegetable so that they can plant successfully or can be eaten by other animals that can then in turn, wander around and poop them out, and they'll grow, right? So that's problem number one. And problem number two is many vegetables have a lot of harmful chemicals in them that people don't realize. I'll give you a good example. Brussels sprouts. When they did some serious testing of Brussels sprouts, they discovered 136 known human carcinogens. Carcinogens are chemicals that can cause cancer. So that's something a little scary to think about. And, some vegetables or some plants can be medicinal. They can have medicinal value, but they could also do some damage. Now, I've got some recent experience with this. Many of you know that after removed, I had to go back and use cannabis for a couple of months. And although the cannabis helped with the pain and, and the inflammation and stuff, over time, it started building up some nasty side effects that were starting to trigger some of my autoimmune stuff. And, it's a plant, and then you don't know exactly what you're getting out of that plant. If you're using it, like whether you're eating it or whether you're smoking it like I do or did. Now I've even got a special machine that you can set a very precise temperature, and it only combusts the medication within it, none of the rest of the organics. But I was still getting that bad side effect, and I stopped using it again a few days ago, and I've been feeling amazing. Today was great. When I first quit, my body was insisting I needed more, so I think it was creating its own pain. And now that I'm like a week later after stop, or 5, 6 days, I guess. Today I was able to put in like twice the amount of hours in the office that I normally can. So that's kind of a big indicator that even though some plants are medicinal and they're good for temporary use, I didn't keep it temporary enough. But I mean, I do use some other plants. I mean, I use a medicinal mushroom extract. Got 5 different medicinal varieties. It's in a tincture, and I take a little bit of that every day in my water, and that just helps keep me healthy. My wife works at the hospital, so she can bring home a lot of bugs. So this is kind of like preventative medicine. And if I start feeling a little sick or something, I'll take like a double or triple dose, and the next day it's gone almost every time. It's extremely rare that it doesn't work immediately. But it's very small amounts on a preventative basis most of the time. And I use a little bit of ginger powder for my thyroid, but that's like a teaspoon a day. And I did a lot of testing, trying different things to help with my thyroid. And that one didn't seem to cause any negative effects that I can tell. And I switched the brand type of iodine. I went to a Lugol's Formula 5%, and I noticed an immediate difference with that. And then I also take the 600 milligrams of NAC with selenium twice a day. And I was very careful to get a filler-free brand, which is not easy to find. I react very badly to most fillers, especially things like methyl cellulose, and things like that. It just immediately triggers my arthritis. So let's address kind of the root of why we get sick eating these other main foods, aside from, some of the bad chemicals and addiction issues and stuff. Um, Sugar of any kind. It doesn't matter if it's honey, it doesn't matter if it's artificial sweetener, even artificial sweetener, even though there's no sugar in it, your body can't tell the difference when you first put it in your mouth. So your pancreas is triggered by something sweet in your mouth. So it'll spike your insulin, whether it's got real sugar in it or not. Now, when you are eating actual sugar, what it does is it actually damages the mitochondria. Now, the mitochondria is a part of every cell, and it's what actually repairs damaged cells, creates fresh new cells, and destroys ones that can't be fixed, like cancer cells, that kind of thing. But if you're damaging it with sugar and these plant toxins and stuff like that, it can no longer do its job. And you can also get the same effect by cutting way back on animal fats, because animal fats have the natural cholesterol, and your mitochondria actually feeds on cholesterol. Your brain cells feed on cholesterol. Your brain cells contain about 25% of all the cholesterol that's in your entire body. And all your cells need cholesterol to heal and maintain properly, and the mitochondria is part of that scenario. So this is why over time, eating these bad foods, we get sick. And if you get sick enough, probably the only solution really is eliminating all of that junk, which means carnivore. Now, if you haven't gotten that sick, you could probably get away with keto and get pretty darn healthy. I know quite a few people that, they do keto or ketovore and they're really healthy. But if you've got chronic disease or severe obesity or both, like me, then carnivore may be the only answer. Now, carnivore isn't for everybody, but anybody could do it and be healthy. But that doesn't mean you necessarily have to do it. It just depends on, your health situation. So, being that I haven't really done kind of a full breakdown of all my health stuff on a live stream. I've got some other videos on my YouTube channel, but I'm also simulcasting this out to Twitch tonight. Sorry, we're not doing Facebook. Just too many issues with my bandwidth. I'm supposed to have a fast enough connection, but it's been having issues lately. So hopefully I'm going to have fiber within the next couple months. And then I might even add a few more platforms. But right now, I'm just doing these two. So being that I've got, potentially a whole bunch of people on Twitch that don't really know my story, I'm going to go over it a bit here. And feel free to ask any questions or just say hi. Let me know how you're doing. So, just a quick synopsis. I was bedridden for about 10 years due to a number of factors. The most significant of which was an autoimmune disease called myasthenia gravis, which causes severe muscle weakness, and left untreated is almost always progressive and fatal. And by the time I was diagnosed, I was quite near death, and I'd already been in a wheelchair, for 3 or 4 years. It had been coming on fairly quickly over those few years. By the time I was diagnosed, I couldn't walk. I couldn't even stand unassisted. couldn't talk. Literally couldn't talk. I mean, I could make noise, but nobody could understand me except my wife. I could barely breathe. I couldn't swallow solid food. Even medications were an issue. So I was using like a lot of liquid medication and like a liquid meal replacement, which I now know is horribly bad for you, especially the one that I was using. I think I was using like the Carnation instant breakfast stuff in milk, which I didn't realize how much damage that was doing to me. But I mean, by the time I got to the hospital, I was just weeks away from death. And so they put me in the ER, and they they did something called plasmapheresis, which is basically they pulled all the plasma out of my blood and replaced it with artificial. And that was like a miracle. They did 5 sets of those treatments, and I didn't have much strength, but everything was working much better. I could walk and talk and shower and that kind of thing. It didn't last, unfortunately, but it lasted for a few months. And then I went in for surgery, and they removed something called a thymus. So that's a gland that actually develops your immune system during puberty. When you're done puberty and your immune system is developed, that gland is supposed to atrophy and reabsorb back into the body over time. Well, mine didn't do that. Mine actually split itself into several pieces and basically cloned itself, which is why when it came back, I got really sick really fast. Now, I was actually originally diagnosed with myasthenia gravis when I was 13, and a naturopathic doctor put me through some procedures and stuff that put me in remission for almost 30 years. So I knew it was possible to heal from it, even though most doctors don't believe it's possible. So I also had, quite a few other medical issues. I had, some destroyed discs in my back, and I was on uh, heavy doses of long-acting morphine and fast-acting morphine for breakthrough pain for, I don't know, 15 years. And, like I said, I was bedridden for 10 years, and there was just nothing that they could seem to do about it. I mean, I couldn't go back for plasmapheresis every 3 months. It just wasn't feasible. I lived too far away from the only place that had it anywhere near us. It was like a 5-hour drive. And at that point, a 5-hour drive was just brutal for me. So, well, I mean, I was just a passenger. But, along about 2018, I knew I had to make a change. I mean, it wasn't living, it was just existing. So I started doing a lot of research and doing a lot of experimentation. Some stuff worked better than others. And, I started losing weight. At my heaviest, I was 540 pounds. Uh, right now, I'm down around 325. And, my weight's been hovering up and down a lot lately, the last couple, 3 months, because of, the thyroid issues and stress and that kind of stuff. But it seems to be settling back down now, so I'm starting to lose a little bit again every day. And that happened a couple days after I stopped the cannabis again, so I think that was also part of it. But I've also, I had run out of my supplements for a while, so that was also part of the equation. But back to when I got to a point back in December of 2022, and I had stopped losing weight. I had gotten down to about 390, and I couldn't get past that. And I started doing more research, and I was doing some praying, looking for solutions. And a couple days later, I ran across the carnivore diet. It's a video by Dr. Barry. And I knew immediately, listening to the video, that this was the answer I was looking for. And he was talking about autoimmune disease and how it could heal it. And I knew I had to try it. So I did a lot of research before jumping in a couple days later. My wife wasn't too thrilled, but over time she came to see the benefits of it. So just to give you a quick idea, so I've got 8 autoimmune diseases. So I've got the myasthenia gravis, of course. I've got osteoarthritis, ankylosing spondylitis, Sjogren's disease, cervical stenosis, and I've also got psoriasis, seborrhea, and eczema, or eczema, depending on how you pronounce it. So, I also had the bad discs, and I used to get horrible cramps, in my abdomen and stuff, as well as some other symptoms. I know I'd had to quit gluten, like I quit gluten back in early 2022, which helped, but I was still having cramping and GERD and stuff like that. And, I've also got bipolar, Asperger's. Um, I had a lot of brain fog, even with the progress I had made on the keto diet, I was still having a fair bit of brain fog. And, I've got peripheral neuropathy and asthma, and I had really super high blood pressure. They did a test where they put a machine on me that stayed with me for like a week. And the highest reading they got was 216 over 175. My doctor thought I should have had a heart attack. I mean, it was really bad. And so, I mean, they had me on blood pressure medication, and, they got it down to about the 160 over 130 range, somewhere in there. But they couldn't really get it any better than that, but at least, at least it was a lot better. My A1C, I was pre-diabetic. So I had, I think my highest reading was either a 6.1 or a 6.3. I can't remember which. And so after I went on the carnivore diet, um, within about 2 weeks, the osteoarthritis, like the pain and the swelling and stiffness and everything in my hands and wrists and the rest of my joints went away. Now I've still got residual damage in my back that's going to require some surgery. But the discs that were destroyed when I had my last MRI back in July of this year, they were back. They were completely regenerated. There was another disc that had a very slight bulge in it, but that's probably going to heal up as well. But the other issues caused by arthritis, they'll have to go in and do some work with that at some point. I don't know that that's going to heal on its own. Here in Canada, you're on the waiting list for a long time for this kind of stuff. We don't pay for surgeries and that, but, um, things are kind of backed up, especially after, the couple of years of silliness that we had recently. So another couple of weeks later, and my myasthenia gravis was in full remission. So much so that I'd gone in for some blood tests at about 3 weeks, and I had an appointment with my neurologist about a week later, and she was pretty stunned, and she took me off the last of my medication. So, I was still taking at that point my blood pressure medication and my thyroid medication, but a couple days later I went off of both of those. Now, I probably should have found some better solutions for my thyroid before I went off the medication, but I didn't. So I've been having some struggles with that. But the blood pressure, when I noticed that my blood pressure was starting to get lower than it had been before, I realized I could probably go off the medication safely. Now, we've got a blood pressure machine at home, so I was testing my blood pressure a couple times a day for the first couple of weeks after I went off the blood pressure medication, and it kept going down. And now I average about 120 over 72, somewhere in there. And my resting heart rate also cut in about half from what it used to be. So, as far as I know, the other autoimmune diseases are in remission as well for the most part, except for the skin condition. I get still a little bit of redness around here, but it's fading fast. So I don't think it's going to be around much longer. And the eczema has healed up, and the seborrhea is healed up. It's just the psoriasis, which is what this stuff is. And so that's kind of where I'm at with that. Now the GERD is gone. Um, the cramps are gone. My bipolar is gone. Now that took a while. It took about 4 months before I noticed it was kind of going away, and then by about 6 months it was completely gone. But I will say that after the move, with stress and the cannabis and everything else going on, and all the pain I was in at the time, I started getting a couple episodes again, but it's gone again. So my Asperger's, it's about 75% reduced in symptoms. So I don't get the just mind-numbing OCD that would used to drive me nuts. I was starting to get a little bit of it again, during that period after the move, but it's settled down again now. So the other thing is it's been darkening my hair. All of my hair used to be the same color of gray at the front, and now, if you look at my older pictures, you can see that. If you go onto my website or my Facebook, I'll share the links here in a bit, and you can look at some of my before and after stuff, and you can see pictures from even like a year ago. My hair has darkened up a fair bit. What else? My eyesight's been improving. So I was just about at the point where I was going to have to go get new glasses, and now I don't. Now I can actually work some days for a couple hours without my glasses. So it's getting better. All the brain fog's gone, and mental acuity is back up to pretty much where it used to be when I was much younger. Um, my asthma is much improved, and my peripheral neuropathy is very slowly healing. The burning pain went away after about 3 months, the constant burning pain. And now I'm starting to get feeling back in very small areas, a bit at a time, very slowly. And that's not supposed to really be possible either, especially when you got, diseases like myasthenia gravis, which is what caused the peripheral neuropathy. Or at least that's what the doctors told me. So at my height, where I was taking the most medications, I was on 19 prescriptions, and half of those were for side effects of the other half. Almost exactly, actually, pretty close. And what else? I've lost over 18 inches off my waist, so that's a pretty big deal. I forgot I was gonna have a before and after picture to show you, but I've actually got some on my one of the links I'll show you for my YouTube channel and other sites there. So I've been on carnivore for about 10 and a half months. I started January 16th, 2023. And I mean, the changes in my life have been incredible. I mean, the day we took the wheelchair back, I was pretty emotional. And we also, the reason we moved is we had been in a wheelchair accessible apartment, which I no longer needed it. And there was a waiting list for people that did need it. So I gave it up. And I mean, we're in a much nicer place now. We've got actual storage and all that kind of thing. So, I mean, my life is completely different. Now, I am facing some surgeries. There's going to be probably 2, maybe 3 surgeries on my back, depending on how much they can do at once. Pretty much my whole spine they have to go through and basically just smooth stuff out, because the arthritis made everything bumpy where the nerves come out of the branch off the spinal cord. So they've got to go in and smooth that out, get rid of the irritation that's constantly there. And then I'm probably looking at 3 or 4 skin surgeries. Sorry about that. So I mean, you can tighten your skin up quite a bit. If you do a lot of fasting, the autophagy can take care of a great deal of it. But I mean, by the time I'm done losing weight, I'll have probably lost about 300 pounds. So, with that kind of weight loss, I find it highly doubtful that all that loose skin is going to go away. So, and because I've got it all over my body, I've actually got a video on my YouTube channel you can take a look at where I talk about the issues with extreme weight loss. Uh, so you can, if you want more information on that and some things you can do to treat the fungal infections that come up because of the hanging skin and everything. So I cover that there. So I want to show you some sites here now. So let me switch over here. So I've got a video here by Dr. Barry. So now this is only a 7-minute video, and he basically talks about, the 10 benefits of the carnivore, or not the 10 benefits, but 10 benefits of the carnivore diet. So I'll just play a couple seconds of it here.
Carnivore diet do for people just like you. Now, keep in mind, I work with many.
So you can hear this. I can't.
I'm going to tell you the top 10 things I've seen.
So I'm just going to let it go here for a couple more seconds, and then we'll stop that.
In hundreds.
So I put links to all these in the description that I'm showing you on the YouTube video, or on this YouTube live stream. I've already put the links in there. So we've also got Dr. Chaffee, Dr. Anthony Chaffee. Now this particular video, I mean, this is 3 hours and a little bit, but it's got some really, really good information in there. And he talks, through kind of everything, all the, how to understand the carnivore diet and the benefits of it, and this type of thing. So I think you'll find that video really useful.
For chat here, thank you very much.
Play a little bit
Ryan,
of it here.
Appreciate it. Ryan says he's 6 weeks carnivore and so many benefits, but his multiple sclerosis symptoms are in turbo mode. Oh, that's not very good. Any thoughts as to why? Eating 85% beef with eggs, bacon, rarely cheese and cream. Relapse started.
So, here he's answering some questions and stuff. But so, if that has any interest for you, you can check out the link on that. Now, here's a video with both of those doctors. And this section that I'm going to play for you here now, they're talking about healing autoimmune disease.
Yeah, and to your point, I've spoken to a lot of people with autoimmune issues, and they even have problems even with actual meat. So even like pork and chicken might set them off. I think it's probably more to do with the pig.
So if you look in the ticker when we get back to that screen, you'll see I've got some other links for some other doctors and resources. I can't remember if I've got Dr. David Diamond listed in there, but Dr. David Diamond, he's a PhD researcher, like he's a PhD doctor, a medical doctor as well, and he's been doing a ton of very high level cause and effect double-blind studies on high cholesterol with carnivores, or not carnivore specifically, but low carb, so keto and carnivore. And he's got a lot of really good studies out there, so he's somebody good to check out. And I also want to talk a little bit about kind of a little project that is kind of dear to my heart. So it's the Carnivore Diet movie. So this is a documentary that they're doing. So they're going to be covering several carnivores for an entire year, and kind of getting their story and the benefits and what's going on in their lives, kind of a thing. And then that is going to wind up going out on one of the big streaming services. I think the first one that they've kind of got tentatively lined up is Netflix. So, for doing that high level of work, you need some very special camera gear. Netflix won't even consider it unless you use a particular group of cameras that they specify. So you know, he's had to raise some money. I mean, he spent all of his own money that he could afford to on this, so he's been raising money to continue the work. Now he's got all the camera equipment. He's started filming already, and so I would encourage you to take a look. If you're somebody that's on carnivore and you've had some really serious health benefits on it, or you're going to be starting carnivore and you got some really serious health issues, apply to be in the documentary. They're still taking applications. So I've actually applied, you know, little preliminary interviews here and there. Still don't know for sure if I'm going to be in it, but we'll see. If I'm not, oh well. It's still going to be a great movie, and I know you know, some of the people I know of that are in it have some pretty incredible stories. So you know, take a look at that, and I've got a link down in the description for this as well. So here we've got my my Facebook page. So this is my Fuzzy Road to Health page. So this is kind of more general information and that kind of thing. There's some before and after stuff. This picture here and this picture here was taken just a couple days ago, and this was back in June 2022. Right here, I was like 465 pounds here and here. And here's my Fuzzy Carnivore coaching. So I've got some people that I do some coaching with. So I created this group specifically for them. So, you know, if you want to get some coaching, you can join the group. At this point, I'm not charging anything for coaching, so you're welcome to join. But you do need to answer all the questions so that I have some background information and a place to start with everybody that belongs to the group. So unfortunately, I can't accept members if they don't answer the questions. So I've just had too many problems in the past with other groups I moderate. When people don't answer questions, it's usually because they're not going to abide by the rules. So that's just kind of the hard truth of it. And you can see I've also got a couple other little before and after things here. Or, well, not really before and after, but these are, I was a few months in, and when I started, these were pretty darn tight. And of course, if you're watching this on YouTube, you know, you've seen this, but if you're watching this on Twitch, this is my YouTube channel. And here's some more before and after stuff. And this is that one I was telling you about, you know, issues with massive weight loss. So you could check that out. So there's quite a bit of good stuff in here. I've got some recipes, cooking and stuff. Some of the earlier ones, you know, aren't that great a quality to look at. The information's good, but you know, the video quality is not that great until I kind of got stuff figured out. I hadn't been doing that type of filming before, so it took a little bit to figure it out. And now we've got a nicer kitchen to do this kind of stuff in. So I've got actually a bunch of videos I filmed, but there was an issue with some of the updates for my iPhone, and I couldn't get the videos from my phone to my computer anymore. So I just downloaded a new update today. I haven't tried. Hopefully that'll fix it, and then if it has, I'll be coming out with those. So I've also got some health vlogs. Now these, I used to do a more traditional filming and editing, that kind of thing. Now I'm going to be doing them through this live streaming methodology. One of the reasons I went to the live streaming is I wanted to be able to create a lot more content a lot faster without having to spend hours and hours editing all this stuff, you know, putting it together. So, you know, I still do the research and I find the links and information, that kind of thing, but I'm doing it in a format that's much easier to deal with and gives a more kind of professional broadcaster look and feel. And I've got 2 YouTube channels. So I've got another one that I do tech stuff on. So you're welcome to check that out. Sorry about that alarm that keeps going off. It's telling me I need to take my NAC with selenium. I take it twice a day. So And I've got some some videos I've done that are very well researched under the carnivore lifestyle. Oh, excuse me. Oh, the one downside of going live. And I've also got, I've got one playlist in here that's really good that I think a lot of people will find very useful, even just aside from my own stuff. I've got this one called Carnivore Research, and I've got a ton of videos in here. So these all go back to doctors and researchers, some documentaries, that kind of thing. And as you can see, there are a ton of videos in here with some really good information. Anything from 5 and 10 minute videos. There's a lot of 1 hour videos. There's some, 2 hour, some live stream Q&A stuff in here. So this is, and I'm updating this regularly. I mean, you can see here I added one 11 hours ago and a day ago. I had about a month that I didn't with this one, but I added this one a couple days ago. So yeah, I add to this stuff all the time. So there's always good information there. The shorter ones I'll also post on my Facebook stuff there. But that's about it. So, like I was saying, if you watch this ticker, I've got some other doctors that you can take a look at here. So, feel free to take a look at those. So if there are no questions or comments out there, I think I'm going to call it a day here. So we've kind of covered this, the main bit about this, why carnivore works. And if I didn't mention it, there's literally hundreds of thousands of us out there in the carnivore community that are healing all kinds of things. Things like MS and Hodgkin's disease and Parkinson's and Alzheimer's if it hasn't done too much damage. If you go on carnivore, it'll prevent you from getting Alzheimer's. They've actually officially made the link to sugar for Alzheimer's and many forms of dementia. So, I mean, you can still get dementia if you're having, issues with strokes or traumatic brain injury, that kind of thing. But, for the, most of those types of things are caused by sugar. So if you need more information, check out those links. They're all down in the description. And I'm still working on re-getting some of those interviews. I was hoping to get one today, and he's probably still going to do one with me, but we'll have to work out time. I mean, he's got a job that he does during the day, so sometimes he gets too busy and just can't get home in time. So we'll get a time worked out. And one of the other interviews that I did, I need to redo as well because of technical issues I was having when I was first figuring all this stuff out. So if you are interested in checking out my other YouTube channel to learn how to do this kind of stuff, from the tech side of things, welcome to take a look. It's Fuzzy Tutorials, just at Fuzzy Tutorials. You can check it out. I've also got a Facebook group and stuff. So I just built out a whole system like this, but for that. So I'll be starting to do some tutorials pretty shortly on how to do all this live streaming stuff. So, all right, folks, I think we're going to call it a day. And I'm probably going to be back next Monday at 6 p.m. And then usually I'm going to be trying to do Mondays and Thursdays at 6 p.m. Mondays is usually going to be, just myself talking about different subjects. I've got a new spot I'm going to be doing called Carnivore Headlines. I just didn't have time to research it today. And that's probably going to be on Mondays. And then Thursdays will as often as possible will be interviews. And I'm going to be doing live streaming for my other channel on probably Saturdays at 4 p.m. That won't be starting this Saturday, though. That'll probably be starting the Saturday after. So thanks for coming and hanging out with me today. See you on the next one. Bye for now.